Hello and welcome to the Dota 2 Asia Championships 2015. This is going to be a best of two between Dream Gaming and Invasion Esports. As for your casters, I'm GrandisV, and once again I am going to be joined by Mr. Skin Gaming. Well, let's see. Not much to talk about. We were delayed in loading into this game since Kesekemba somehow disconnected. But looks like we're all good, and hopefully there won't be any further technical issues. Sorry about that, Skim. I was actually muted on Skype through the entire intro, so how are you doing?
Oh, hey, yeah, I'm doing fine, and you?
Oh yeah, absolutely good. Well,
Not tired at all?
Not really. As weird as that is to say, it is like 3 in the morning here in Texas, but I've been doing this for the past 3 days, so I'm used to it. I think the issue is going to be getting back to a normal schedule.
I know the feeling,
Definitely. Well, for now, nothing too extraordinary coming out from the first bans. In fact, we only see one already from Invasion. Not much to talk about, in all honesty.
I guess we could talk about their previous record in this tournament thus far. I mean, all Southeast Asian teams have been struggling so far. Obviously, they have a huge ping disadvantage. And Invasion is definitely no exception. They haven't won a single match yet. Sure, they've won like 4 games, but not an entire match, so they're struggling a bit, and Dream Gaming have the advantage just because of that ping, I think.
Yeah, on a normal day or on normal ping, I'd say that this should be a pretty close matchup, and maybe even Invasion favored, but it is an issue, even though it ideally wouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow. Now they're powering through these picks, though. So Dream Gaming, they take out the Brewmaster and the Juggernaut, two very popular heroes, especially the Juggernaut, of course. And they pick up the Tidehunter and Skywrath, which is very common, I'd say. It doesn't really reveal too much about your plan or your strategy, and is very flexible in itself as well. And Invasion, they do give away a bit because they do pick up the Naga Siren very early on.
Yeah, then again, if you're not going to pick it up now, you're probably not going to get your hands on it pretty much ever. It looks like they also want to secure the late game with this Naga by banning out the Medusa, and it looks like they are going to be giving it quite a bit of farm and want to fall back on that as their main way in this game.
Yeah, they also took out the Axe before. Definitely a good ban out if you do plan on picking up that Naga, because in the mid game, like in the phase, right before the Naga Siren gets like Radiance, Boots of Travel, Yasha, and that sort of stuff, Axe can actually kill her quite easily because she's really squishy. She's very easy to pick up, to pick off, and especially in comparison, like together with that Skywrath match, that would have hurt a lot. But luckily they banned it out. Dream ban out the Disruptor, which I think is just like, Disruptor is one of these heroes that can sort of like interrupt and sort of like counter-initiate the whole team fight lineup. I mean, if you want to blink in and you get silenced, you're like, oh wait, no Ravage.
Yeah, one of the few silences that can't be purged off by Tidehunter and his Kraken Shell, and, well, Dream Gaming gonna follow up their first 2 with a Lion, comboing really nicely with that Skywrath Mage, a lot of magic damage coming out from these two.
Yeah, and the line is just in general a good hero to go against illusion-based heroes. I mean, you have 2 ways to immediately get rid of those pesky illusions. You have the Mana Drain, you have the Hex, and especially in the late game, it's going to be really bothersome. I mean, ideally for Dream Gaming, they don't have to go into the late game, but if they do, those illusions get really tanky, and you can immediately get rid of them with the Hex and the Mana Drain.
And, well, they are going to shore up their late game potential as well by snagging up an anti-mage for themselves. Invasion's pick, the Venomancer, is pretty interesting. Whether it's played as a core or a support is still yet to be seen. It kind of feels like they're going to be giving this Venomancer a little bit of space to pick up some items and then aggressively push to allow Naga Siren to get that time to get the Radiance and subsequently Boots of Travel into Manta style and whatever the item progression may be on the Naga.
Yeah, I mean, technically, and I don't think it is, but technically it could be some sort of like bait that it's actually a Naga support and not a carry. I mean, EG did it a lot, or here and there. They picked up another Naga Siren early on, baiting the enemy into thinking, oh, this is going to be a farming Naga, but it turns out it's actually a support Naga, and suddenly they actually pick a really push-orientated lineup that punishes the sort of like late-game potential of the enemy team. But Dream Gaming doesn't really have a too late-game orientated lineup. I mean, Tidehunter or Skywrath Mage and Lion are fairly strong mid-game heroes as well, so I'm not sure if that had been Invasion's plan. I'm not sure if that's going to work out anymore.
Yeah, we'll just have to see if that's going to be their thought. a lot of the Eastern teams especially don't like running the Naga Siren as a support, and it's not very common, so maybe they'll be able to catch Dream Gaming off guard, but as you said, the Tidehunter, Skywrath, and Lion are all very self-sufficient heroes throughout the early mid-game portion of the game, and should be more than capable of fighting. Invasion Esports, we'll see how they're going to approach this game. It looks like they're still lacking an offlane, unless that is an offlane Venom, which it very well could be.
Yeah, it could be. But it could also, I mean, they're really flexible at this point, right? I mean, they can have the Naga Siren in the mid lane, they can have her on the safe lane, they can Venomancer support or a core. So they're very flexible, but this pickup is going to be very decisive as to how they're going to lane this whole thing. And I feel like they sort of need a bit more lockdown for that anti-mage because sure, you have the net. And yeah, so there's another hero with a bit of stun because I feel that anti-mage is very elusive at this point and Naga Siren is not really in those engagements anyway, so you kind of need like more lockdown. And I'm not sure if the Wraith King is the best way to go for it, but at least you have an additional stun.
This pretty much tells to me, at the very least, that Venomancer is going to be played in a core, because going core Wraith King up against an Anti-Mage and a Lion means that your ultimate is not going to be reliable coming out, and it kind of feels like it is just kind of there for an extra play stun and some nice aura support for the Naga Siren and company.
Yeah, I agree. There's no way you can run him on a core up against an Anti-Mage, and as you pointed out, the Lion, because the mana drain. Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. Yeah, you kind of have to assume that you're never going to have mana for your ultimate. So yeah. But as you pointed out, there's lots of push potential now with the aura, of course, and the Naga illusion. So maybe, yeah, I mean, you can still run Naga core and still have a push-orientated lineup, of course. So that's still a possibility here.
Yeah, at the very least, they're going to have that potential to transition into tower pushes. Last couple bans are coming out with Bristleback taken out by Dream Gaming and Invoker banned out by Invasion.
Yeah, the Invoker. Invoker is one of these heroes in pubs when you want to punish a Wraith King pickup. Invoker is one of these heroes that you can go for, just because the EMP is so strong against them. But in general, if you want to push, Invoker is one of these heroes that can actually, mitigate those pushes, because the Tornado is such a pain in the butt to deal with. But Dream, they go for the Storm Spirit. Interesting. It's actually a good pickup against Naga Siren because there's a lot of pickup potential in Invasion, immediately picking up the Root Mother.
Yeah,
so they want to push.
Yeah, I do like the Storm Spirit pickup, just having that way to catch out Naga Siren while she's pushing. But yeah, the pushing power coming out for Invasion is going to be very immense. Between the Broodmother as well as the Venomancer, a lot of units that are going to be putting pressure onto these towers, and you do have the double auras coming out from the Wraith King and Venge and Naga Siren to apply split pushing pressure. If Dream Gaming ever, at one point, get behind in this game, they might just get constricted to death.
Yeah, I agree. Could be interesting to see if Dream Gaming is gonna adjust their laning just because of this Brood pickup, because while technically they could deal with it if they with the Anti-Mage and the Skywrath and the Lion, the Tidehunter should have a bit of an easier time against the Broodmother, I feel. At least it used to be a very traditional counter towards the Broodmother. Like, you'd pick up a Tidehunter or Sand King just to deal with those Spiderlings.
Well, that said, I'll go ahead and introduce right inside the map. It is going to be Ghost playing on the Broodmother. He is going towards the offlane. It looks like DGR are just going to go the traditional safe lane for the rest of heroes on Invasion or supports. Okay, playing on the Vengeful Spirit, Wraith King handled by ADTR, Kesakema playing on the Naga Siren, and safe lane Venomancer are going to be handled by FCFC.
And on the Dire side, we have Demons taking on the Lions while we have this pause going on. It's Kier on the Skywrath Mage, and they're going to support Wave on the Anti-Mage. In the mid lane, it's K on the Storm Spirit. And yeah, as you pointed out, just a casual laning with the Tidehunter on the bottom lane. I forgot his name, and he has Asian characters.
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember his name either, although I've heard it before. I actually just doesn't come to me right now. Tidehunter versus the Venomancer, not going to have the greatest matchup in this bottom lane, although he isn't expecting that Invasion are going to go for an aggressive tri-lane. Oh, wait. No. What's actually happening?
And I don't think they're going for an aggressive tri-lane. They just want to secure the rune, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the play.
The Tidehunter already placing a nice ward. It's in the enemy pole camp, or at least a second pole camp. It's really nice. You don't really deward it often. I mean, you notice it after the first wave, obviously, but then it's actually easy to deward as soon as you notice it.
Yeah, I mean, there is two spots that it potentially could be in. There's a ward south of the camp, and then there's this ward. And you might have to give it both, but up towards top, they find the kill onto the Lion with just the raw amount of CC that they're bringing to the table. Riptide was used there to get the kill, and just the double stuns coming up from the bench and the Wraith King will be enough to secure that, as well as the Bounty Rune for Invasion.
Yeah, Invasion.
Oh no, not the Bounty Rune.
No. Exactly. Dream Gaming actually got both bounty runes, which is kind of nice for them. Especially since they got one on the offlane at Tide. And if you're on the offlane, you definitely want to go for it. I mean, he did already go for boots first, but if he can get like an early stout shield or something, he can actually be more sustainable in lane, and he can go for those ancients early on if he needs it. And okay, I think he's gonna get ganked in mid.
Yeah, not expecting this at all. Wraithfire Blast to open up. They'll follow up with the Magic Missile, and K is completely dead. Not much that he can do. He'll turn for some damage into ADTR, but these support's not missing a beat. One right click from Lion is going to secure the counter kill onto the Wraith King. Unfortunately enough, didn't have any way to sustain through that.
It was actually really nicely played from Keshigama. He was aggroing the creep wave so much that it was actually gonna get pulled down, and K was playing a bit cocky. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get the aggro. I'm just gonna get the creep kills with my remnants," and he got baited into the river. So that was actually an easy kill.
Yeah, it definitely was well played by them. They will rotate the Venge and the Wraith King down towards the bottom lane after securing that fight over by the top bounty rune, as well as the gank in mid. And now we'll just resume pulling operations. Venomancer is more than capable of handling this lane matchup versus the Tide by himself, but now things are going to get even worse for the Tidehunter.
I actually think that Tidehunter has the edge in this lineup, in this matchup. If it was just one-on-one, just because he has the early boots, he can just get in range for that anchor smash, and yeah, I mean, he was doing fairly well for himself before. Now he might actually have to rotate out, just because obviously there's going to be a bit of pulling. He's going to be fortunate enough that it's not going to be a double pull, because obviously he blocked that camp, but still, the supports are going to make it very hard for him in this lane.
Fair enough. Even after killing off the Storm Spear once, he's still handling the mid lane matchup very nicely up against this Naga Siren, and they're getting good farm on the Anti-Mage up towards top. So, Dream Gaming, all of these lanes are looking pretty solid for them.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I guess Dream don't really have anything on the two supports. They're not pulling because they can't really pull against the Brute Mother, and they're not actually stacking or anything, so they're just trying to keep the Brute Mother in check, so that's a bit of waste of time overall, but I think it's well worth it if you consider like the Anti-Mage and the Storm Spirit having such a good time.
Yeah, this is going to be securing Anti-Mage farm towards this Battle Fury, and Orchid up for the Storm as fast as possible is going to be very important for Dream Gaming to carry this momentum through from the early game. Bottle now up for K, and it is going to match the bottle on the Naga Siren that is flying out right now.
So yeah, in the bottom lane, we have this bit of issue for Invasion. I mean, they did pull, but it was only single pull, so this lane is pushing now. And I mean, sure, Venomancer is strong and pushes, but not really this early on. And he even missed the Gale, so they're not going to get this kill.
Yeah, and especially since Demons is behind them, if they get a little too cocky, they could be in some trouble. Demons is going to bump into ADTR potentially. Not sure if they actually spotted vision of each other. Awkward dance between these two supports.
So yeah, this pull, the single pull, actually hurt them a lot, because this gave the Tidehunter a lot of levels and some good farm, and they didn't really get anything out of it. I mean, look at the tower; it took like 100 damage or something. That's actually nothing, and they still didn't. Actually, yeah, they're not going to pull anymore. They're just going to smoke up and go for a gank.
Yeah, good move. Let's see if this is going to pay off for them. If you're going to yank the Storm Spirit, now's the time, just before he picks up his level 6. He is going to have a full mana pool and potentially a support behind him, and Demons is actually going to look for a smoke, so we could be in for quite a scuffle. Let's see how this is going to go down. The Vengeful Spirit and the Wraith King going to bump in the line as both smokes pop simultaneously. Invis Rune spotted out though. Hex up the Vengeful Spirit. Look for the Earth Spike. It is going to connect as Wraithfire Blast goes towards Demons. He denies the Invis Rune, but it looks like the cost of his own life. Okay, silenced up. Going to need an Arcane Bolt and fall. Still slows being applied by K. Pulling back ADTR. ADTR dropping low. Not able to get off the Wraithfire Blast. No, he actually does get off onto K as Kesagema is going to be able to secure another kill, but pays the price for it as she's going to be dropped down by the Scarith Mage.
Overall, a 2-for-2 trade. I'm not too sure who actually won this engagement, just because Dream Gaming, they did have to invest 4 heroes, but at the same time, Naga Siren was involved in both kills, so she got the experience in both, and actually even got the gold for the Storm Spirit kill. So I guess it was sort of even, but yeah. Could have been a lot worse for Dream Gaming, I assume, because Lion was able to soak up that smoke gank.
Yeah, he was. It was actually 3-2. The Scarlet Mage survives through both of it, and the Wraith King and the Vengeful Spirit both fall on top of the Naga Siren kill, so I think that favors Dream Gaming.
Oh, right, yeah.
Not by much.
Yeah, I forgot about the Vengeful, actually. So yeah, it's still okay, I think, for Invasion, though.
Yeah, at the very least, our Naga Siren picks up something, but it's pretty comparable to the gold that the Storm Spirit gets in experience, so yeah, pretty much negligible lead. Storm Spirit now taking his level 6 means that ganking him really isn't possible for Invasion. All of their stuns just take a little too long to come out and should be easily disjointable.
So Invasion is doing the same mistake again. I mean, they're going to single pull here, and they're going to push in the lane again. I mean, sure, there's like wards on level 3 right now, but this Tidehunter is really tanky, and it's not like they can actually actively push the tier 1 tower, especially now that, oh, never mind, Dream Gaming, the supports are rotating away. But still, I'm not sure if this sort of like single pull and pushing is actually useful for the Invasion. Unless they get the kill, of course.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that works out. With Ravage up for the Tidehunter, it feels like that's going to be not on the table. They bump into Kasagimba, and with both the Scarlet Mage in line, this is going to be an easy pickoff onto the Naga, and they even bring the Storm Spirit to get the last hit and be involved in that kill. It's going to be a big one for DG if that's all that happens, and down towards bottom, they're not actually able to do much with this push, and Tidehunter's going to soak up some experience to boot. This Tidehunter is getting a lot more than he honestly should be out of this laning stage, and with the Anti-Mage free farming away and Storm Spirit doing well in lane as well, Dream Gaming find themselves at a pretty nice early game advantage.
Yeah, Kier overextending himself. He wanted to place a really nice aggressive ward, but he got caught out. Overall, a really good rotation, though, from the two supports from Dream Gaming, because it was a very heads-up play. I mean, Naga Siren, the way you play on Radiant, is much like the Shadow Fiend, right? So in between waves, you just try to nuke down the small camp, or even during waves, if you can't actually contest the farm. So they knew that the Naga Siren had to be there, and they even placed a very aggressive ward there just to keep on having vision on the Naga Siren. So this is really a heads-up play, and I think this ward is going to get them at least another kill.
Fair enough. The push commences down the bottom lane. FCFC has been able to put more damage in the tower, but still hasn't dropped it low enough. Tidehunter going to be galed up, and with the slow apply, they'll open up with the Magic Missile, and now have a Wraithfire Blast. Kraken Shell, I don't think it's procced yet. It is going to wear off, but they still should have the damage to come off. Never mind. Tidehunter with 2 points up in the Kraken Shell is just a little too tanky with some stick charges to boot, so they will force him off the lane at the very least.
Yeah, so that was good. They have a catapult now as well, so this actually does give them some decent push potential. Top lane. Ooh. Brute Mother playing way too aggressive.
Yeah, and these Spiderlings also going to be farmed up by the Lion and company Anti-Mage, potentially going to pick off one more of them, but still. Nice amount of gold going the way of DG, and Wave is going to be propelled towards his Battle Fury, currently sitting in the Power Treads, as well as the Ring of Health.
But yeah, this push down on the bot lane, again, I mean, sure it was strong, but it's still like, the tower's still at half HP, and the trade-off is that Tidehunter actually gets a lot of farm, and mid lane, looks like K is going to be netted soon. No, he's just going to jump away.
He is going to be able to disjoint the Magic Missile, and K is going to be just fine.
So yeah, as long as Invasion keeps on attempting to push the bottom lane, the Tidehunter's going to get so much more XP and farm. I mean, he's only 1k away from his Blink Dagger, and he even opted for the Arcane Boots before that. So he actually went for this sort of like quote-unquote greedy build, and still is going to get away with it.
Yeah, he is going to be able to maintain himself, and right now Invasion, although it's not super significant at this point, they are feeding every once in a while extra CS here and there as a Plague Word dies or as a Spiderling dies, and it's something that they need to be careful about as this game progresses. Speaking of the Bird Mother, she is going to be cutting the creeps up towards top, and this really isn't punishable at the moment since Scarlet Mage is showing himself mid.
And it's not really like they have a clear way to get rid of this Brood Mother, right? I mean, sure, the line is really nice, but it's not really easy to get a hold of her because of the vision. So this Brood Mother, I really like this play, and I mean, Ghost, his farm is really strong. I mean, just looking at the net worth, not at the net worth, just the CS, he's doing really well for himself. He has the Soul Ring already and another 1.7k, so interesting to see what he's going to go for, because I think there's a lot of options for him at this point. Orchid is one of the traditional choices, but I'm not sure if he can get his Orchid before the Anti-Mage actually gets his Manta Style, so might just go straight for the Necrobook.
Fair enough. I think one of the biggest tools that Dream Gaming are going to have at their disposal to kill off this Broodmother is an Orchid on this Storm, but after looking down towards bottom for a rotation that doesn't net him anything, he has lost a little bit of his momentum. Tier 1 tower down towards bottom is going to be mopped up by the Venomancer, and eventually it was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. They slowly sieged it down, but I guess the trade-off at this point was the fact that they gave Tide a free level 8, and almost his Blink Dagger plus Arcane Boots. So I think it's sort of like questionable if this was worth it because it took them so long to actually get it. And I mean, the advantage they get out of this tier 1 is actually not that significant.
Tier 1 tower up towards top, going to be heavily pressured out by the Broodmother, and without the Lion close, actually killing off these Spiderlings, especially until the Battle Fury comes online for the Anti-Mage, is almost impossible for them.
Looks like K, he's trying to go for a pickoff here, which I very much like. He tried to go for the Naga Siren already because he had that ward vision, but the Vengeful Spirit is playing it really well. She's staying behind the Naga Siren to make sure that if they do engage on her, she can actually like stun the enemy lineups. There's no swap on the Vengeful yet, but there's going to be one soon.
Okay, with an Invis Rune, potentially going to spot somebody out inside the jungle. The Wraith King is there stacking up, but he wants the bigger fish, and that bigger fish is the Naga Siren. Kesakimba, however, does have backup, and the real Naga is in the mid lane. Confirmed by Case, he does spot out the camps and over by the side of the mid lane. They are going to ping out Kesakimba, zip onto him, pull him back. Naughtedly off the song, sounds up fingered, and that's going to be the end of Naga Siren's life. The magic damage from the Scarith as well as the line combination is nothing to joke about.
I mean, Invasion played that almost as well as they could. I mean, there was nothing they could have done differently, right? Like, OK was standing right behind the Naga Siren, always being there, but against that sort of burst damage coming out from the line in Skywrath, there's nothing you can do, and that was a really good play by them. And again, this is the ward paying off. I mean, they did see the Naga Siren there. I guess also because the Storm Spirit had the Invis Rune, so nice rotation from K. It does put him a bit more towards his Orchid, but he's still way off.
Yeah, he is. Then again, he's still farming more than Kesakimba is on this Naga Siren. Up towards top, Broodmother does mop up that tier 1 tower, and to answer the question as to what the item build is for the Brood, it's actually going to be Midas, and it looks like Midas into Dagon.
So it's going to be the Ice build. I think he was one of the first to actually do it. What's your opinion on it? I'm a bit split on the opinion. I think sometimes it pays off, but I think Midas can be quite punishing as well. Like, I mean, yeah. Especially against like an anti-mage, if you don't pressure him, he's going to get rid of those Spiderlings quite easily, and the Broodmother herself as well.
Yeah, I think that's the real question. It depends on how much farm the Anti-Mage and the Storm Spirit get, but it is going to punish very heavily if supports try to rotate in. Well, looking over towards mid, there's going to be a Ravage connects on the 2 with the Mystic Flare and FCFCA. He is going to be able to get off his ultimate. They stun up demons and look for the return kill onto the Lion, making this, for now, just one kill going the way of Invasion. Swap from OK is going to get them a little bit more space, and now Tidehunter dropping low. Wraithfire Blast and one more swing of the sword makes it 2-0 for Invasion after they commit the Ravage for those kills. Venomancer getting off the ultimate there was crucial.
Yeah, definitely. It was also very unfortunate for Dream Gaming to find the 2 tankiest heroes on Invasion's lineup at this point, namely the Wraith King and the Venomancer. I mean, the Venomancer just purchased his Point Booster and the Ogre Club, so there was no way... there was obviously a way for them to kill him, but he's super tanky at this point, and it was very unfortunate that they found those 2, because obviously they wanted to smoke for the Naga Siren again, and yeah, nice counter initiate by Invasion.
Definitely. Well, up towards top, Wave is going to have his Battle Fury complete, flying out to him on the courier, and as far as Power Tread's Battle Fury timing, it's pretty darn good. They'll look to find out Ghost, and with the Sentry on the ground, the damage has been taken to the Mana Void, will secure the deal. That Staff of Wizardry in his inventory, doing more harm than good.
Nice reactions from Demons, getting a really nice Impale and immediately dropping the Sentry, knowing that if the Anti-Mage comes in, there's actually a lot of kill potential right there. And this is going to give him a lot of space at this point, because he already has his Battle Fury, and now that he knows that the Broodmother is not here, he can actually farm the jungle quite safely for at least like 20 to 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, definitely. Even though his last hits are a little bit inflated because of Spiderlings here and there, this Anti-Mage is still farming up a Storm in mid. They will be able to drop down ATTR, but that's just his ultimate. Now swap back, Vengeful Spirit looking for a stun on the K to get the first stun. The Finger of Death going to crater the Wraith King. Now OK, and a whole heap of trouble, is also going to lose his life as they chase for more. Hex onto FCFC, Arcane Bolt's going to fly. Anchor Smash doesn't really connect, and for now that's going to be the end of the aggression.
I was a bit overzealous by Invasion. I'm not sure what they tried to accomplish there. And, oh yeah, they might even lose this Venomancer.
Song of the Siren to help bail out FCFC after looking for that kill on the Lion. Although the Gale connects, it is only a level 1 Gale if I'm not mistaken. However, Kasagemo looking for Kira. TP is going to be cancelled by the net, and this is going to be the death of the Scarlet Mage, one way or another. And to the worst target as well on the side of Invasion to throw that too.
That was a good play by Kishigima, knowing that he could actually get this kill. I mean, despite the Tidehunter being there, there was actually no way they could have prevented him unless there's a Storm Spirit. And speaking of Storm Spirit, he's going to get a kill here.
Yeah, he'll find himself okay, pulling him back in with a little help from the Tidehunter. And that is going to be him getting very close towards his Orchid, almost at that second Oblivion stat.
Yeah, and once he has that Orchid, he can practically kill... Actually, I'd say... Yeah, he could probably kill everybody except for the Wraith King. Venomancer... Yeah, I think he could actually deal with it. The burst damage from the Orchid is really nice as well, so... Yeah. But we'll see, obviously. The map control they have right now is actually not that great for Storm Spirit, because they don't have a tier 1 tower yet, and the ward coverage they have is very defensive at this point, so even if he has the Orchid, they need some sort of like good ward coverage or at least a smoke gang or something.
They found Ghost, and he's going to be dropped so quickly by Dream Gaming. Really, this Broodmother doesn't seem to be doing anything beneficial for the team. She got the tier 1 tower, sure, but she's fed so much gold towards the Anti-Mage and died one too many times.
And at this point, she's not even applying pressure to either the Anti-Mage or the tower. I mean, she's just trying to farm, and she just gave away like 2 kills or something, so... I don't know, maybe playing a bit, not cocky, but overzealous just because she has that Midas already and feels very comfortable, but she really shouldn't be, because she should know at this point that the Anti-Mage is never really alone. There's always going to be at least some sort of like support behind him, or a sentry ward as well.
Yeah, Wave currently sitting at 173 left. It's a lot of those are Spiderlings, but still he's sitting on his Vladimir's Offering, Battle Fury, as well as Power Treads, well on his way towards the makings of a Yasha, and this Anti-Mage is going to become unmanageable for Invasion very soon, as if he wasn't hard enough to deal with already.
Yeah, he's 3k ahead in net worth, and I like his choice of items, going for that Vladimir's. This is the much-needed sustain for him against the Broodmother. Like, he can stay in the jungle, and even if Broodmother decides to harass him, he just feeds on those Spiderlings, so... if anything, if Broodmother decides to try to, like, you know, harass him, she's gonna feed him a lot of gold.
Kesakimba spotted out by Kira as well as K. They didn't really need that Mystic Flare to land, even though it missed. They still kill off the Naga Siren inside the duration of the silence coming up from the Ancient Seal. Song was still on cooldown as well from trying to bail out the Venomancer previously.
Yeah, and that kill, that just gave K the Orchid, and he has a DD as well. He's gonna go for that Wraith King. I'm not sure if he can... Yeah, he can kill him once. Actually, he can kill him twice. Forget about that.
He doesn't have the ultimate. Yeah, that's going to be the end of Wraith King's life. And dominating spree for K. Things are looking really good for DG. Right now, Invasion, they have to fall back on this Naga Siren just farming up, but even so, Anti-Mage is going to be able to rival her farming speed. Maybe not surpass it, but still his immediate effectiveness might be greater.
Yeah, and I mean, if they choose to go for a more battle-oriented build, or like... Oh, wait. Oh, poor Venomancer. He... Oh, nice swap.
Mana Void doesn't really do much damage, and he is going to get his ultimate off, but one more swing of the swords from Anti-Mage is going to spell the end of Venomancer's life, and now OK really can't pick a fight with Wave, and it'll be just fine. It's a level 1 Venomancer ultimate with 1 point up in the spell shield and the Vladimir's Offering. He'll just go straight back to farming. Wave doesn't miss a beat. It does cost them the Lion, however. That swap still was good. Zip in, they find Kesakimba, and this is a huge death on the Naga Siren. Again, going to be assassinated by the Storm, and he'll look for a quick zip TP. Thinks better of it as he has a regeneration rune in the bottle.
Yeah, so the point I was getting at is that if Anti-Mage decides to go for these early engagements, and especially with his Vladimir's, they can apply so much pressure now because Kashik is so far behind. I mean, sure, she has the Relic, or he has the Relic, and is only like 800 gold away from his Radiance, but even if he has the Radiance, it's gonna be a long time until he becomes relevant in those team fights, and if they take early map control before he actually gets like Boots of Travel and Manta Style,
I think...
Courier
by Wave over in the sidelines. He saw it deliver the Necrobook to the Broodmother, and he hunted it down perfectly.
Yeah, luckily there was nothing on it. Like, it could have been much worse, but yeah, that was actually a good snipe by Wave.
Yeah, it really was. Right now, in the meantime, Vengeful Spirit going to lose her life as Kay finds yet another one. And this time with the Orchid on his person, DG are looking really solid.
Yeah, and it looks like they're gonna go for this mid tower maybe. They do have the Blink Ravage at that. So yeah, Anti-Mage is gonna join them. He has the Yasha now, so he can pretty much stay in the front line for now. I mean, he has a lot of sustain with the Vladimirs, and I mean, there's not really much Invasion can do at this point anyway. Not at least like in this state right now. They need to wait until Keshik Imma gets the Radiance.
Yeah, they really do. And that Radiance is still quite a ways away and won't be coming up for a long time. And even once he gets the Radiance, immediately he's not going to be able to do very much with it. Right now, DG are doubling up the net worth almost of the Naga Siren on this Anti-Mage. He's almost done with the Manta style.
Some nice aggressive wards coming out from the Dream Gaming supports. I really like that ward. It gives a lot of vision, and it doesn't really get dewarded too often. Probably could have needed another ward, but yeah, they're just playing it safe for now. And they're actually going for Roche, so they're going to secure this Aegis, which, yeah, well, if they can secure this Aegis, that would be huge, but it looks like Invasion might want to contest this.
We'll see if they're actually able to. The Storm Spirit constantly threatening. I'm not sure that they actually have the tools available to. Lucky enough for Invasion, although they don't know it, Tidehunter is back in the base, so he's not going to be there for this fight immediately, and he doesn't have a TP, but still, they're going to get that second life, and it's going to go the way of K.
Yeah, I think at first they were like, hey, we have to contest this, but I think they decided otherwise because Keshik Imma is actually fairly close to the Radiance, and if they lost that fight, he would have been so far off it, so they decided otherwise, and I think it's a smart decision.
Long zipping onto OK. K! Oh, the Orchid Tick's going to kill him off. Oh no, he was going for farm. Okay, I thought that looked really cheeky, but never mind. I forgot about Soulburn entirely.
Dude, it's like in those movies when there's like an explosion, and the dude is walking off of the explosion. You never look back, right? So he was just like, yeah, just needed a few sunglasses to make it look more sick. But yeah, I like this aggression coming out from K. This is the way you have to play Storm Spirit, right? And especially since he has the Aegis, so there's nothing he has to worry about. And it's not like they can actually kill him really that easily because there's not enough lockdown, I feel.
Long zipping from the Storm Spirit. Doesn't actually find a target to focus down. Wave going to eat a Gale, but that's about it. They'll be able to pull back, and they force out the Manta style cooldown, I suppose.
Yeah. Good play from Keshik. He realized that he lost complete control over his own jungle. I mean, they even warded his camps, so there's no way he can farm those. So what does he do? He goes to the enemy lane, goes to the enemy jungle and farms a bit there. I mean, now he retreats, but that did give him almost his Radiance.
They'll find themselves a pretty easy pickoff onto the Broodmother. Dust on this Lion is constantly being a thorn in their sides, and they'll mop up a lot of Spiderlings as well. This Broodmother just really has been inconsequential as far as the pick is concerned.
Kind of has been. I mean, 0-4, it's not really ideal, and it's not like she's been pressuring the tier 2 at all. Like, look at the tier 2, it's full HP. So, it's not really the kind of Broodmother game you want, because ideally she applies a lot of pressure, she split pushes a lot, but hasn't really accomplished any of it so far, and at this point she's dead weight. I mean, this sounds harsh, but she's sort of like dead weight because she can't really commit into team fights, and she can't really push either, so she's not really participating at all.
Yeah, at that point, what do you do? The anti-mage illusions are going to be annoying for Invasion, but they'll be kited around, not really accomplishing much of anything. The tier 2 tower down towards bottom is low, but that doesn't really matter much. It's going to be taken out by DG eventually. Big pickup for Invasion is this Radiance freshly up on Keshik Imma. This really has to be their big hope. They desperately need this to propel Naga Siren to ridiculous territory, and honestly, I just don't see it happening fast enough.
Me neither, especially because they blocked these two camps on the Radiant side, like, oh, bottom
Long
lane,
zip
K.
at bottom for FZFC. He's going to be dropped down by the Storm Spirit fairly handily. He's going to drop stick charges. He gets off a Gale before he dies. But the Storm Spirit, with the Aegis, he's just able to play so aggressively.
Yeah. And yeah, again, I mean, sure, there's a Radiance on the Naga, but where does the Naga farm? Like, there's two camps completely blocked off, and the way to the Dire jungle is also very blocked off because they don't have any vision, so going outside of, like, your half of the map is super dangerous for the Naga Siren, especially with K applying so much pressure on the map.
Yeah, it definitely is. Storm Spirit going to mop up that tier 2 tower down towards bottom, and even though it looks really awkward to see him so low, it seems that he just wants that Aegis refresh, and he is going to be able to get it. He'll be able to join his team in towards mid as they put some pressure on the tier 2 tower there. Blink in for the Earth Spike onto OK with the Mystic Flare. Is going to end Eventual Spirit's life. Oh, I think you muted yourself.
Oh yeah, I did. And they even took down that ward that was meant to be a very defensive ward as well. So that gem up on Skywrath is gonna be so big for them because not only do they take complete map control, they can always take out the Brute Mother if they want to. So if they move as 5, they can pretty much take down most towers at this point.
There's a clarity on the floor. Not exactly whose clarity is or why it's there, but I don't think that's going to mean anything. Zip into the base. Courier snipe coming out from K. It had nothing on it, but for the second time this game, poor Chili Willy's been taken out.
And again, that's the good ward coverage coming out from Dream Gaming. They saw the courier flying in, and actually there's pings from the Wraith King coming out that there's maybe a ward behind the tier 2, but in fact it's actually in front of the tier 2 top. So yeah, again, this gem and the overall ward coverage from Dream Gaming. I mean, look at it. This is so aggressive. They have like a ton of wards in the enemy jungle just to make sure that the Naga Siren doesn't get farmed, and if she does, you have vision over her.
Yeah, and this is scary, especially since you have an anti-mage that's now going to complete up a heart in just a couple hundred gold, and from there on out, it's just straight up damage. She'll be able to mop up this Naga Siren illusion, and although it doesn't look like much, that's pressure that's being denied away from the Naga.
And this is probably the best game you could have as a Storm Spirit. I mean, if you look at him, he has a Lincoln Sphere. So there was already not enough lockdown already. I mean, they only had like two stunts that were directed at him and I guess the net, but now one of them is going to get blocked off for sure. So this Storm Spirit is going to have a field day once he can like find somebody and just zip in.
Yeah, it's really scary. K can pretty much go wherever he wants to inside these fights without much worry for actually being caught out. You do have the Necrobook 3 picked up by the Broodmother, so if they actually win an engagement, maybe they can put some pressure, but oh, they found the Broodmother up towards top with the pullback. They don't even need the Orchid. He's going to be dropped down to godlike spree for K.
Yeah, they just passed on the gem to K, and he just zipped in, and poor Broodmother. This is honestly as bad as it could get as a Broodmother in a game. I mean, sure, you got a bit of gold and farm, but she can't actually use it at all. Again, look at the tier 2 top. It didn't take any damage since I last spoke about it. So this Broodmother has been very ineffective. And I'm not saying that the player played bad. It's just that the game overall just didn't go into his favor.
Yeah, it didn't really lend itself towards the Broodmother. They have the boots to travel up for the Naga Siren. And even though DG have been very diligent at stopping this Naga Siren performing, she's still able to keep up a decent amount of gold. Not enough, however. It's a 10,000 advantage if you just compare the two position 1 carries, and the net worth graph as a whole is really nasty. 20,000 in favor of DG, and even more so in the experience. Tier 2 tower up towards top is going to be taken with no contention from invasion.
I mean, there's nothing they can do, really. They're doing the best they can at giving Keshik Imba right now a bit of farm. I mean, he did manage to get his Boots of Trouble, but Dream Gaming is are now in a position where they can just push up high ground. So there's not. I mean, even if you have Naga illusions that have radiance and stuff, that's not going to be enough against the Storm Spirit and an Anti-Mage who are so farmed. Like Anti-Mage just immediately takes. Oh, poor. Yeah.
He's gonna eat the Finger of Death. They lose their line in return, and that's only the ultimate on the Wraith King. So I suppose for now it's an okay trade, but in the meantime, K assassinates the Naga Siren. They'll lose their Tidehunter as well, but on the backlines, Storm Spirit's wreaking havoc with the double damage rune. He's going to focus down ADTR for the second time. They have the Broodmother here, and K's low on mana. Lincoln Sphere going to be procced, and they'll be able to bring him down. Finally, a triple kill for Ghost after having very little impact. It actually works alright for them, even though they lose their Naga, which pretty much means that the fight's null.
I mean, obviously, I think Dream Gaming still came on top of ahead of that because sure they traded 3v3, but they got the bottom racks. But I think if Wave had just fought with his team, they would have gotten a clean kill. I don't think most of them would have died, and they still could have gotten racks. So I'm not sure if this was the best trade-off for him, as he's not even going to get the range racks. Oh, well, probably he's going to get it.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters much either way. Eventually that range barracks would have fallen. So 3 for 3, but that's a full lane going the way of DG. His Anti-Mage wasn't involved in any of that, and now he's going to have a completed Basher up on top of this, or well in his way towards the Butterfly. Honestly, I don't think it matters much what this Anti-Mage actually builds, just because of how ridiculously ahead he is.
And there's nothing they can do against him. If he even goes for the butterfly, I mean, there's literally nothing they can do against him. They would have to focus a lot of their spells on him already, and then there's nothing left for the Storm Spirit, right? Because they already invested a lot against the Storm Spirit, and if the Anti-Mage had been there, that would have been such a clean fight for Dream Gaming. But I mean, they're so far ahead. I think they feel comfortable either way. And just looking at the item advantage, the Storm Spirit is probably going to pick up Shiva's. Although I don't agree with it because they already have one. But still, they're very far ahead.
Well, looks like he's going to think better of it. He's going to pick up an ultimate orb, and it's going to be towards the scythe device for him.
Oh yeah, he had just had a plate mail when I looked at him. But yeah, probably decided otherwise. Like, oh, I actually have a Shiva's already. But yeah, the Tidehunter is working towards the Refresher Orb, and once that is up, it's going to be a very tough fight for Invasion to take, because fighting against double Ravage is going to be really, really hard.
Yeah, definitely. Invis Rune going to be picked up by K2 and DG in a really dominating position in this game. They'll keep up this pressure constantly, and they still have an item to pick up on this Anti-Mage, and it looks like that item is going to be a butterfly, and he's going to be completing that one and flying it out to him any second now.
Oh, this is going to be so tough. I'm not sure if Dream Gaming should be pushing in the mid lane. I feel like if you pushed in the bottom lane, pushing in the top lane is more effective, because defending both bottom and top lane is actually really difficult because they're so far away. Defending both mid and bottom lane is not that hard because you can just, micro your illusions that way.
Pay attention now with the double Ravage. They're going to jump in with the Storm Spirit. He's going to get the pull on FCFC. Storm Spirit isn't going to be able to connect with that kill because Kesikimba comes in with the song, looking to reset, but they're not setting up for anything huge. They'll get a Gale on it too, and the net onto Wave, but it doesn't matter. Ravage going to connect on almost everybody, and now they'll be able to connect with the second Ravage on Kesikimba and ADTR. Double kill for Wave as he mops up the Venge, and the Venom Mana Void going to clean up that Nagasar. An instant buyback as they want to have a last hurrah in this game. They lose their Wraith King, and now it seems like it's all but over. Zip away from the Storm Spirit. It's going to keep him safe with the Radiant Spurn flying from the Naga Siren, but Naga just isn't able to clean up. And all that it'll take is a couple of seconds for Wave to get it back up to reasonable amounts of HP with the heart regen.
This would have been so much worse if the Venomancer hadn't gotten his ultimate off before the first Ravage. But even still, I mean, Invasion, yeah, they're just too far behind. And they're going to lose a second set of racks, if not a third. And I know that people don't like to call GGs too early, but I think this is going to be game because DG is so far ahead. I mean, there's the butterfly. He didn't even have the butterfly in that fight.
Yeah.
Now he has it.
Now it's almost impossible. They'll mana drain the illusions to take them off. They have the Scythe device now completed up by the Storm Spirit. And I think at this point, it's all just formalities. DG aren't going to risk anything. They'll play things passively, and because they can, there isn't really a dream wombo combo teamfight from Invasion. Maybe, just maybe, if Broodmother was like an Enigma or a Tidehunter and they have that dream for a 5-man Ravage or what have you. But it doesn't really matter. This is going to be Melee Barracks number 3 falling. They jump in with the Wraith King. They are able to stun up Case, surprisingly so, but they just can't deal with Wave. He's going to town onto the Broodmother and onto Kesikimba at the same time. And now coming back to life, the Wraith King is going to be regretting that, as he is going to drop down to the Storm Spirit on the sidelines of this fight. Defensive SWAT trying to keep this Venomancer safe, but Kesikimba is dropping too darn low, and that's going to be your dieback on the Naga Siren as Wave dives tier 4s because he can. They are going to attack him with the Broodmother, and he's going to be forced to blink out and stay on the sidelines of this fight for quite some time. He'll mop up a Necro Book on his way out, but yeah, I think this is pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, as you pointed out, if this Broodmother had been any other hero, like some sort of like team fight hero, even if it was like a Brewmaster or like a Magnus, Puck, something along those lines, it would have been way more effective. But just because it was this sort of like split push hero, couldn't really do anything at all. And I think Dream played really well around that whole fact, the fact that Broodmother could actually not participate in any fights at all. And I mean, you could see it. I mean, Broodmother, sure, she's farmed. She's actually the most farmed hero on the Radiant side, but her teamfight contribution is like 0.
Yeah, especially when you get fingered, that's going to be the end of Broodmother's life, and that's officially Mega Creeps for the Dire side, and GG called out by Kesikimba, and rightfully so. They still have a chance to come back in this game or two, but I think they'll need to start things off with a different draft, and my goodness, solo Ravage as they mop up the Venge before the Ancient dies.
Poor Invasion, but I think overall Dream just with a much cleaner and more strategic execution overall, and also a much better rounded draft.
Well, thanks for watching. That isn't going to be it. We are going to see Invasion go up against DG yet again, and hopefully they'll be able to come back with a better showing. And, well, we'll be back in just a couple minutes.